The woman whose arrest by ICE officers at Denver International Airport generated headlines across the U.S. She's out of custody tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Kyle Clark. Chantel Morales-Rojas' arrest was very public. Today, her release from the Aurora ICE Processing Center was much more low-key. 9 News investigates Chris Vanderveen has more on why a close friend wanted to be the first to walk her out.
As the country debates the merits of a policy to remove,
Still approaching 48 hours.
a 2 days long wait
It has not been a fast process
for one release
and so inefficient.
unfolds in front of the region's largest immigration detention center.
Chantal was granted bond in a hearing on Tuesday afternoon at about 1:30 p.m.
Lauren Carr isn't from Colorado, doesn't know much about the other detainees she's now watching walk out. But she is certain the moment her friend does the same, she should be the first her friend sees.
And we just are fighting for her to get out.
The story unfolded a few miles from here. It is a story
Say nothing, Chantal. Say nothing at all.
that generated national attention, mostly because a cell phone recorded it.
I got a phone call from my friend Alicia, who had been traveling with Chantal.
Help! Help!
So she called to let me know that ICE had taken Chantal.
Hey, you guys, come help us! ICE is here. Help us!
The video was super, super hard for me to watch. She looked so scared. She looked so scared, and I was so heartbroken that I wasn't there in that moment to help protect her.
Carr and her family have known Chantal Morales-Rojas for years. They're the reason why she came to the U.S. from Ecuador in 2024 to work as the family's au pair in California. ICE says she overstayed her visa. Her attorney disputes that. Tuesday, inside this building, a judge agreed to let Morales-Rojas bond out while the immigration issue gets sorted out.
But I flew back the second I knew about her bond hearing.
After a $3,000 bond was set and paid, Carr finally got the chance to do what she's wanted to do for a long, long time. What happens now is not clear. Removal remains a possibility. But for now, she's out, and this wait is over. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
Last week, Morales-Rojas' attorney here in Colorado filed what's known as a habeas petition with a federal judge, asking in part for the judge not to allow ICE to deport her. That petition has now become quite common in cases like this one. A judge has not yet ruled on it. Despite President Trump's pledge to deport the worst of the worst, most people arrested by ICE during President Trump's second term do not have a criminal conviction, according to a new study out of CU Boulder. They found roughly 1 in 3 people arrested during the first 14 months of Trump's second term had a criminal conviction, down significantly from previous administrations. Researchers also found before Trump's second inauguration, 17% of ICE arrests were made in the community, most for people already in law enforcement custody. Under Trump, that rose to nearly half of all arrests. The study looked at previous administrations as well and found that in former President Obama's final year in office, 79% of ICE arrests involved people with criminal convictions. In Biden's final year in office, that had dropped to 52%.
Colorado and several other states are bracing for another weekend with potential for extreme heat. Triple digits. A dozen states could see new record highs, with 40 million people under heat alerts as a heat dome settles in. Tells you everything you need.
Sounds ominous, right?
A dome, Kathy.
Ooh.
Like, I think of food that you keep warm under a dome.
Right. Protective, nothing's going to get in. Yeah, this week and next week are the warmest weeks of the summer, and so we are right in the thick of it. And with triple-digit highs on the horizon, we've issued a potential weather impact alert for both Sunday and Monday. But right now, let's talk about the moon. Oh my gosh, we haven't been able to see that the last couple of nights because of the cloud cover, and it's so beautiful in Denver. We're in the 70s right now. Beautiful evening out there. Humidity's up a little bit. We've been tracking some isolated storms, but a wind shift tomorrow is going to create some stronger thunderstorms. Not looking at severe weather tonight, little thunder and lightning. The burn scar area is getting a break from the heavy flooding rain. We had a little bit of wind and lightning out around DIA. Thought that was going to create some issues earlier, but right now all is well across the state. Things change tomorrow. We go back under that flood watch in the Aspen Acres burn scar, so we'll watch that. We're going to get some rain back in that area, and storms that form in the foothill areas west of town around 1:30 or 2 will be a little bit stronger stronger tomorrow, so there's a slight severe risk heading into Friday afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s overnight, really mild evening. Coming up, another check of the radar, the storm outlook for Friday, and then again the heat dome forecast for the upcoming weekend. Record high temperatures back in the forecast.
Oh, you won't be able to get your hands on any new Smoky Hill High School merch with its Buffalo logo.
No, Cherry Creek School says the National Hockey League reached out, said hi, telling them it was just too similar to the one used by the Buffalo Sabres. So they're halting the sale. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us from outside the school. And Colton, it's not every day a high school gets the attention of the NHL.
No, what did Old Smoky do to the NHL, right? But this is the logo that they're talking about. That one right there that caught the attention of the National Hockey League. Now, depending on how this whole thing shakes out, that will determine if the logo changes and what that could look like. Now, one expert I spoke to, they tell me that there is a result where both sides end up happy.
And I imagine that Buffalo got pretty sensitive to this because of their recent playoff berth.
The NHL has beef with the Smoky Hill Buffs.
What teams will do is they'll take their logos, they'll do a reverse image search on the internet and otherwise, and then find who's using their logo.
Cherry Creek School District says the league reached out directly, saying the Smoky Hill High School Buffalo logo looks too close to the Buffalo Sabres retro logo.
Usually this is over licensing for people that like to make a quick buck on t-shirts.
Chris Jennings teaches copyright law at MSU Denver and says the NHL is acting within its rights, but believes it's handling things the wrong way.
I think what was going on in the Sabres is they just sent out the same letter they sent to everybody else, and it looks bad. It really looks bad.
Jennings says the school could rebrand or enter into a symbolic licensing agreement with the league,
where schools typically pay $1 a year.
The district says if the logo has to change, the school's colors and the Buffalo mascot could stay the same.
If it doesn't work out, it sounds like they're getting everybody together, and it's an opportunity for students to create a really cool logo.
It's a way to settle the beef, at least when it comes to the logo.
It's a lesson that everybody can learn. You know, we can all dislike the Buffalo Sabres here in Denver, and it gives us more reason to cheer for the Avalanche.
And honestly, when I think more about this story, I feel bad for the incoming freshmen because as you heard Kyle and Kim talk about, they're not going to be selling any of that traditional Buffalo merch. I mean, that's the coolest part of it, right? But what the school does say is they are going to sell Smoky Hill logos while they wait to figure this whole thing out. Live in Aurora, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
So far this year, crime in Denver is down in every category except one, homicides. Tonight, DPD says it has a plan to address that. As part of that plan, the department has already started sending out a so-called violence response team. It's made up of a sergeant and 4 police officers. They don't respond to routine radio calls. Instead, they're focused on what they call emerging violence risks, like large gatherings at parks and house parties. As part of the new plan, DPD says it will also work with the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection to identify businesses repeatedly connected with violent crime, particularly places that sell alcohol.
We recognize that some of these liquor establishments are places where violent incidents erupt from, and so making sure that we're holding them accountable to the things that are within their license that are meant to prevent violent crime and make sure that they're being responsive to that.
This plan was announced a little over a week after 1 person was killed and 8 others were injured at the Ultra Lounge in Southeast Denver. The city suspended that nightclub's license, citing a list of violations. The owner has said he won't try to reopen it.
The small town of Bomar is determined to become a gated community. They say they'll start construction in the next several weeks on barriers to block off public streets to non-residents. The town is installing a gate at one entrance to that enclave southwest of Denver. Residents will get tags to get through. Everyone else will need a code. Bomar says the gate will only be down during rush hour. We don't know if that means mornings or evenings or both. We heard from residents supportive of the plan, saying through traffic was dangerous, in particular drunk drivers. Not sure if that's a rush hour concern particularly. The mayors of Denver and Littleton pushed back against the planned gate over public roads. At one point, they were even threatening to put up gates of their own. Luxury cars and cash. FBI seized a lot from the owner of a bike shop in the Denver area that was promising customers free e-bikes. Customers were told all they'd have to do is pay sales tax. State tax credit would cover the rest.
But Steve on Your Side keeps hearing from people who have been waiting months for that free bike to arrive. 9 News consumer investigator Steve Steger learned more about the company's history.
It's an odd sight during a bike pickup event. A viewer sent Steve on Your Side a photo of this Lamborghini Huracan parked in front of the old Lakewood location of Bear Trail Bikes earlier this year. The car is the same make and model of a $258,000 vehicle seized from the owner of that shop, a man by the name of Takuma Haygood. Steve on Your Side first reported last week that the FBI seized more than $500,000 in assets from Haygood, his associates, and Bear Trail Bikes. The statutes cited in that seizure revolve around money crimes, though federal prosecutors haven't filed any charges. The FBI took that stuff away in mid-May, weeks before we first reported issues about Bear Trail Bikes.
Is Bear Trail Bikes' free e-bike promotion a scam?
The shop offered people free e-bikes, taking advantage of a Colorado state tax credit.
100% it's not a scam.
It's 100% real.
All they had to do is pay the sales tax and get their bike for free.
It is actually free, bro. It is not a scam.
Problem is, a lot of people said that bike they ordered didn't come.
Hey, where's my bike? I ordered this bike. I never got it.
State records show Haygood bought Bear Trail Bikes from a couple in Rifle last summer.
Pick up day to day at Rifle.
And court records show that deal didn't go so well. The couple agreed to remit sales tax and submit paperwork for the rebate program on behalf of Haygood after the sale until he could get a new tax account. Basically, the couple, the old owners, agreed to ask for rebates for the new owner. But the couple backed out of that deal 2 months later, claiming Haygood was requesting tax credits for an extremely high volume of sales that is far beyond what the business was previously doing, and accusing him of charging Rifle sales tax for sales made in Denver. We keep asking the state how many tax credits the company received, but they won't tell us, citing taxpayer privacy. But Steve on Your Side also tied the company to free e-bike operations in other states. The bike Bear Trail offers, an Ursus e-bike, shows that it was available for sale through companies in Eugene, Oregon, and New Orleans. In Eugene, officials told us they got 60 applications for e-bike grants for bikes sold by a company called Eugene e-bikes, but none were granted because they were never delivered. The website for Big Easy e-bikes in New Orleans boasts that it's a Bear Trail company and also promises free e-bikes under a rebate program rolling out there this year.
Yeah, we're trying to get some information.
In a phone call with me last April, Haygood said the reason people weren't getting their bikes in Colorado is that the state was holding back tax credits and said anyone on the waiting list could get a refund. But since our story aired last month, viewers have told us they haven't heard back from the company. And we found today the phone number for the business.
The subscriber you have dialed is not in service.
Appears to be disconnected. We left a couple of messages for Haygood, haven't heard back yet. Neither the FBI nor the Colorado Attorney General would confirm whether or not they're investigating Bear Trail Bikes here. But I have heard from a lot of people who say they've ordered a bike and they're still waiting for it. What should they do? The best piece of advice, if you're not hearing back from the company, is to contact your credit card company and dispute the charge. Then you want to consider filing a complaint with the Colorado Attorney General, because if you paid for something and didn't get it, you need to contact them. I'm Steve Steger, Steve on Your Side, 9 News.